Right now we are on section 9.2. We're doing surface area of prisms and cylinders. Your objective, which is already at the top of your page because we've already done this once, is to find the surface area of prisms and cylinders. So, how do you calculate the area of a triangle? What's the formula for area of a triangle? So, you guys have a couple elements. So, that's Pythagorean theorem. So, we have this lovely poster over here in orange. It's 1/2 base times height. So, nice reminder of that. So, 1/2 base of 12 feet plus my height of 9 feet. I always cancel before I multiply, so I have a better chance of doing it in my head. So 2 goes into 12 6 times. What is 6 times 9? 54. So you have 54 feet squared. After this, we have the area of a square. Who can tell me the formula for area of a square? It's base times height, side times side. In a square, it has the same, so we just do 15 inches squared. Not 15, 13. What's 13 times 13? Yep, 169 inches squared. This is all chapter 8. And then we have a rectangle length and width. And how do we find the area of a rectangle? Yep, still base times height. So that's going to be 10 meters times my 8 meters, which gives me 80 meters squared. Yep. And last but not least, we have a circle, which I think is probably the hardest formula for you to remember, but we've done a lot with it. What is the area of a circle? It is. It's pi r squared. Pi r squared. So what is 3 squared? So 9 pi centimeters squared. You can give me a decimal approximation of that. So you can use your pi button. 9 times pi is? What is it? Is that right? 28.27 centimeters squared. Excellent. Okay. Okay, so our first one is surface area. That is the sum of the areas of the polyhedras faces. So that would be the area of our floor, of our walls, and of our ceiling. Everything in here, all the surfaces, the total area. Floor, walls, and ceiling. Then you have lateral faces. The lateral faces are going to be the ones that are not the bases. So the bases are those that are parallel and congruent. So you see that with these lateral faces, that would be the equivalent of our walls. And our floor and our ceiling would be our bases. And so the lateral surface area would just be the area of the walls. So in my last class, I talked about painting your house. So if you're painting your house, some people don't paint their ceilings, right? A lot of houses come with white ceilings, and then you paint your walls a different color. So that would be your lateral surface area. You'd need to find that area of that. But we've all been to places like, I think of the Edge. And they paint the walls, the ceiling, and then they carpet the floor with the same color, right? To make the room look all one thing. That would be total surface area. All of it, the ceiling, the floor, and the walls. It talks about what lateral area or surface would be. Your lateral surface in this one, I've never given a pyramid gift box, but that's who they did. Your bottom is made out of sturdier cardboard, and then your sides fold up into something that is less sturdy. That would be the lateral area, would be this portion. If you had a soup can, that metal at the bottom and top, that is your bases. And then the wrapper, that is your lateral surface. And then the same thing here. You have a bank, your building floor and ceiling are the bases, and then your lateral area is the walls. So I just wanted you to see that, hopefully to help. And then over here, you now have the surface area of a prism. So that's 2b plus p times h, where b is the area of your base, p is the perimeter of your base, and h is the height of your prism. So for surface area, what is our formula? So 2b times p times h, or plus b times h? Okay. So we need to find our area of our base. So in this picture, with a rectangular prism, you have several options. I think our easiest option will be to have our bases be the bottom and the top. So when we calculate the area of the base, we have our length of 6 and our width of 10. So what is the area of that base? It's going to be 6 inches times 10 inches, which is a total of what? 60 inches squared. Okay, we also need to know the perimeter of our base. Perimeter, remember, is like the fencing or the edging you're buying to put around your room. So we're adding them all up. So that is when we do 6 plus 6 plus 10 plus 10. What do you get there? These all should have inches with it. Where did I get them? Because you got to add for all sides. So when I add this, I have this side of 10, and I have this side that's a 10. I have this side that's a 6, and this side that's a 6. It is how much? 32? Yes, you are correct. 32 inches. And then we have our last part of this, which is our height. What's our height? So we have our base. What's the height of the prism? It's 9. So now we're just going to substitute it into our formula. So I'm going to work down here again. So my surface area equals 2 times my base area, which is the 60 inches squared, plus my perimeter, which is 32 inches, times my height of 9 inches. Yep. So our total surface area here we see as 408 inches squared. So now we want to find the lateral surface area, or lateral area. So our lateral area is not the bases, it's only the walls. So no ceiling, no floor, only the outside. So when we do this, we have to find the area of this face and this face, which would be these 2 walls. And we have to find the area of these 2 walls. So for this side here, we have a height of 9 and a width of how much? 6. So we have 2 sides that have that. So I have 2 times my area of 9 inches times 6 inches. I know, that one's really crowded. And then we also have the area of the front face, so my front wall and my back wall, which is going to be the 10 times my, yep. So 2 times 10 times 9. Okay, so when you do this, what value are you getting now? So 6 times 9 is 54. Times 2 is 108. Double check my math. Over here we have 180. When you add these together, what value do you get? 288 inches squared. So when you look at this, and you look at our original surface area formula, which portion of this matches? So we see you have 120 inches squared plus 288 inches squared. And we found 288 inches squared. That went with the second half of that formula. So we know that our lateral area formula, so lateral area, is going to be the second half, perimeter times height. So that's this formula here. Our next one is I'm going to ask that you draw in these congruent marks. I'm not going to say that this is necessarily true. We probably could go through the whole thing and calculate this length based on the fact that we could use the Pythagorean theorem. You do 9 squared plus 7 squared, we find that. But I'm going to assume that all of them are 14 for the sake of time in our class. So if we want to do that, which ones are our bases? Is it the rectangles or the triangles? It's the triangles, right? Because when it's a prism, it's always going to have rectangular sides. So prisms have the rectangular sides, and whatever was not the rectangle, or even in this case it was a rectangle, that's going to be your basis. But the ones where it's not a rectangle, it's a little more obvious. So we have this as a triangular prism. So the triangle is your base. So let's calculate our area of our base. I'm going to change my color here. Ooh, run away. Okay, what is the area of our base? How do you find the area of a triangle? 1/2 base times height. So here we have 1/2. My base is, so of this triangle, what's the base length? 14. So it's 14. And then what's the height of the triangle? It's going to be 9. Okay, so again, I try to do some of this math before I do it in my head. So 2 goes into 14 7 times. 7 times 9 is 63. Because it's multiplication and it's not distributed through addition. So you only have to do it once because it's all being multiplied together. So you only do it one time. Mm-hmm. So now we have to do the perimeter of our base. What's the perimeter of our base? 14 centimeters plus 14 centimeters plus 14 centimeters, which gives me what value? 42? 42 centimeters. And then we have a height of, what is the height of the prism? This is going to be the length that joins the two bases. So that's the height of the triangle, but the height of the prism is going to be what joins them. Yep, so it's 13. So now we're once again plugging this into our formula. So our surface area equals 2 times our B, which is 63 centimeters squared, plus my perimeter of 42 centimeters times my height of 13 centimeters.
So what did P equal?
P is your perimeter, and it equals 42. It's the adding of all of those sides of your triangle. So when you put this into your calculator, 672 is your total. 600. Okay, so that is our total surface area. Your lateral area, remember, is going to be the portion that's the second half of this equation. That's the P times H. We have that right here. This is P times H. So my lateral area, I'm going to write this up at the top so you can see it a little better. So lateral area for this one equals P times H. Where you at? Where your perimeter is at 42 and your height is 13. So your lateral area is 546 centimeters squared. So again, that is this portion here, 500. So it is the right here. You see, you have a cylinder. We talked about cylinders the other day, yesterday. A cylinder is a solid with two congruent circular bases that lie in a parallel planes. So you can think of this as like a can of soup. So the surface area of your cylinder, again, is the top and the bottom and the sides, that lateral area. And the lateral area is just the sides. These are the same formulas as the last slide, just now with the area and the perimeter formula for a circle plugged in. So remember, pi r squared is your area formula, so that's your B. And over here, this is your perimeter formula, because that's your circumference, times your height. So that's the exact same formula, but now with the actual data put in. Same thing down here. This is your perimeter times your height. So nothing's changed, same formula, just with the things for the circle substituted in. So our formula for surface area of a cylinder, so surface area, oh, it switched pages. Give me 1 second. Okay, so surface area of a cylinder is what I just gave you. What is that formula? 2 pi r squared plus 2. Yep. Okay, so in this case, we have 2 times pi. What is my r value?
3.
So it is 3 inches squared plus 2 pi. My r value again is 3 inches times my height of what? 5 inches. You know I'm going to have to continue this math over to the side, so I'm going to go up here. So you have 3 times 3, which is 9, times 2, which is 18. 18 pi inches squared, plus, and then you have 3 times 5, which is 15 times 2, which is 30 pi inches squared. I'm going to add those together, and that gives me 48 pi inches squared. But I also want a decimal approximation. So when you put that into your calculator, what do you get for your decimal approximation? 48 times pi. like the teamwork. 150.72. Okay, just make sure I read it right. Thank you. Okay, so our next one up with that is finding the lateral area that goes along with that same one. So I'm going to write it in this spot so I don't get it confused with my next one. The lateral area is just the second half of this, right? Your perimeter times your height. So it's just going to be the 2 pi times 3 inches times 5 inches, which is going to be 30 pi inches squared. What is 30 pi inches squared? The decimal approximate. These two up here are doing a great job with this. Anybody else? They are, but they should not be the only ones. 94.24. So we end up with 94.24 inches squared. Okay, your next one, I would like to give you about 2 minutes to try this on your own. So right now you have your formula of surface area equals 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. We just discussed this. The diameter, to find the radius, it's half of that. So that means what's half of 12? 6 feet. So then literally all I have to do is come up here and put it in. 2 pi 6 feet squared plus 2 pi 6 feet. What's my height? Times 10. Okay, I'm running out of space, so I'm going to write over here a little bit further. So 2 times 6 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36, because that's 6 squared. Times 2. Yeah. I'll pause. Okay, so that is going to be 6 times 6 here, because 6 squared gives me 36. What is 2 times 36? 72 pi feet squared. This portion here is to find the bottom half. So that is 6 times 10, which is 60 times 2. What is 60 times 2? 120 pi feet squared. So for our total surface area, you're going to add those two together. So 72 plus 120 gives us 192 pi feet squared, which is approximately, you get 120 from the idea of 6 times 10 times 2. Okay, so then when you do that with your pi value,
You get 615.44.
0.44 like this.
Don't you multiply that?
Your answer for this one should be 603.2 feet squared. Okay, and then our last part of this one is your lateral area. Remember, your lateral area is your second thing you're adding on here. It's the perimeter times height. Perimeter times height is the 2 pi rh. The 2 pi rh was this portion here. We already found the value of it. What is it? 120, right? It's the second portion here. 120 pi feet squared. What's 120 times pi?
376.
Feet squared.
Yeah, I rounded it out 376.
Nets are when you take a 3D object and you cut them down to be the 2D shape that you fold into that 3D object. So our first one here is a cylinder. So in A, B, C, D, E, or F, which one is it? It's the third one. You see, if you folded these over and rounded that around, you get the cylinder. The next one is a rectangular prism. Which one's that going to be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6?
It's a cube.
Oh, it is a cube. Very specific name. So this one, all the sides are going to be the same. So it's going to be 4, but I'm with you at first. I was looking at that too. Our triangular prism, which one's that going to be?
1.
It's going to be 1. We have a cone.
5.
We have a triangular pyramid. And then we have our last one, which is
2.
2.